Coming up, GoeLionKing versus BunnyHoppor. With the developers.
The esports scene in Hearthstone being as friendly and as interactive as it is, I would have to say is probably, at least in part, attributed to the fact that it really is intended to be a game for everyone. It's meant to be easy to learn, easy to get into.
We always wanted Hearthstone to be kind of a warm, friendly, welcoming game, and although there is this competitive aspect to it, we've strived to make the game very friendly.
Are you watching? Are you watching right now?
Well, I think the vibe of Hearthstone itself is one about coming together. You know, it's about the tavern. It's about all these people, races coming together across time and space to enjoy a game of Hearthstone together. And I think that vibe actually really carries over into real life when you're playing Hearthstone.
I think there's a lot of charm and whimsy to Hearthstone that kind of keeps it lighthearted.
I think it's a little bit harder to get too tilted over something that's just like inherently a little bit goofy.
It's legendary.
There's also the fact that it's a single player. It means there's not as much inter-team conflict that can occur, and negative play happens, the player kind of knows, oh, I made a mistake, or I'll keep that in mind, I'll do better next time.
It's very important to have really good practice partners in Hearthstone, and especially if you want to be a competitive player, and sharing ideas, sharing strategies, and a lot of what's best about Hearthstone is when you're playing with friends and trying to work together to solve the problem of a specific tournament.
Despite it being like competitive, you still are having a great time with it, and you still have moments that you laugh about. Sometimes cynically when all 8 missiles hit face or something.
That's gonna happen to you, right? Like, that's kind of what makes the game great in some respects. You're just having a lot of really cool Ragnaros shots hitting you and missing you, and like having the bullet whiz by your head and hit your minion, and like that that heart palpitation going, and like those moments are just core to Hearthstone, I think.
Welcome to Rastakhan's Rumble, Hearthstone's newest expansion, including 135 new cards. Hosted by the God King Rastakhan, the Rumble is a gladiatorial celebration of all things troll, where 9 teams, 1 for each Hearthstone class, have converged on Gurabashi Arena to fight for glory. Each team is dedicated to a Loa, primal gods of prodigious power, who fight in the arena with amazing, game-changing abilities. The Loa empower their team with spirits, rare minions that bolster their team's strengths with potent passive effects and gain stealth for the first turn. Each team is led by a champion, legendary troll minions handpicked by the Loa for the Rumble. The abilities of Loa, Spirit, and Champion combine to form incredible synergies, making amazing effects possible. Some cards have the new keyword Overkill. When cards with Overkill attack and deal more damage than a target's health, they trigger a powerful bonus effect. We'll see you in the Rumble.
最难取胜的就是 BunnyHoppor 和类似于 BunnyHoppor 的快攻 line up， 这就是最难取胜的。
No, I think this time I brought a very conventional lineup.
如果要晋级的话，必须要出小组赛，但是第1轮就碰见他，所以并不是什么好事情。
It's my target to be able to make it out of groups foremost, and then top 4 if possible, and of course we'll go from there.
他的 line up 比较极端，然后但是在我们那组特别的好，因为他是4个快攻，然后呢，我们那组
I knew that I was up against GoeLionKing. He's an anti-control player. He loves to play things like Q block and other a little bit more greedy decks.
所以我觉得我如果战胜BunnyHoppor，进入4强以及夺得冠军，都是非常容易的。
I kind of prepared my lineup to be able to face something like Q-Block and Questrogue, so that I got myself a decent matchup versus my first opponent.
他在我们那组出现的形势特别好。
I should be about 70% favored against every one of them, which in Hearthstone is huge.
我是GoeLionKing，如果我在对局中挂掉的话，我就会，像那张长鬃草原诗一样，然后，释放王语，放2条猎狗去咬BunnyHoppor。
But in German we say mal 5 gerade sein lassen, which means just let 5 be an even number and, you know, just get on with it.
Welcome everyone to Group D. It's the beginning of the end here for the first day of competition at the Winter Championships. BunnyHoppor versus GoeLionKing. You heard it from themselves about how they feel about this matchup. And I'm looking at the numbers, Kibler, and it's looking real bad for GoeLionKing. We saw some one-sided matchups earlier. This might be our most one-sided matchup.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how Viper's matchup earlier today against Noblord was very one-sided. This could be even more one-sided than that. BunnyHoppor's decks are extremely aggressive, and GoeLionKing has very anti-combo, anti-control decks, which will not serve him well in this matchup.
That's right. We have Mid-Range Hunter, Miracle Rogue, Odd Secret Mage, and Even Paladin for BunnyHoppor. That's Dr. BunnyHoppor to you guys, who, for people who haven't heard, he has finished his PhD recently, is now focused on Hearthstone competing mainly, and you know, seeing where it goes from there. And then GoeLionKing, he's playing Clone Priest, Quest Rogue, Even Warlock, and Death Rattle Hunter. Of course, the Death Rattle Hunter is banned because that is one of the better decks against the aggressive strategies, at least from GoeLionKing's perspective.
And it's worth noting, too, that GoeLionKing is playing even more biased versions of these decks against other control and combo decks. For instance, his version of the Cloning Gallery Priest has Vivid Nightmare and only a single copy of Eternal Servitude, which is the sort of thing where, okay, well, maybe at least I can get an early Velen and then res it. And, well, he's not going to be doing that as often as other versions can. Similarly, his Even Warlock has Mojo Master and Nerubian Unraveler. Those are terrible cards to draw against an aggressive opponent.
Yep. So this one looks pretty bad. It's about a 70% favorite, like BunnyHoppor mentioned. And we'll see if Quest Rogue can even get a win, let alone if GoeLionKing can take this series. We actually cast the first match of today, and it was very similar, where Noblord was queuing up Quest Rogue repeatedly, just couldn't get over the hump. Way too much aggression coming out from Viper. And it doesn't surprise me that BunnyHoppor and Viper come with similar strategies, both the only players to bring Odd Secret Mage, and generally have the same alignment to be aggressive.
Yeah, they interestingly had very similar lineups at the championship they previously attended. I believe for that event they actually practiced together. This event they did not, to my knowledge, and they still came to very similar conclusions due to having, I assume, similar influence among people who they talk to and practice with.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes a lot of sense. Even Paladin versus Quest Rogue. This is kind of in the middle of the road in terms of the matchup spread for Quest Rogue. Like, it has worse matchups like the Odd Secret Mage, but it has better matchups than this one too. Well, it all kind of depends on BunnyHoppor's start, because Even Paladin is really powerful if you don't remove their early game minions, and Quest Rogue takes a long time to get set up.
Though one of the cards that can get you set up much faster is Sonya Shadow Dancer, and that is the first draw for GoeLionKing. So he doesn't have a charger to go with it, like a Deckhand or a Boar, but it is one of the key elements to his deck being able to actually start going fast enough to deal with a deck like Even Paladin.
For BunnyHoppor, his power spike looks to be his 4-mana cards. He has Corpse Taker and the Glass Knight, both minions that are very difficult to remove and have a lot of power to keep punching repeatedly. Wonder what BunnyHoppor is really thinking. Oh wait, no, it's just him.
It's
People who are not familiar.
This is BunnyHoppor.
BunnyHoppor is notorious for winning a lot, but also being extremely meticulous about utilizing his turn.
I actually just had the realization that we're going to be sitting down for a BunnyHoppor match, and I didn't get any caffeine beforehand, so I may need some help from backstage. If anyone can fetch me some energy. But BunnyHoppor here, he does obviously get his recruit dagger down. He has the Pyromancer, which is not something you necessarily are looking to tempo out or anything, especially if you're looking to coin out a Corpse Taker the following turn.
Right.
But his other option is the Argent Protector, which is no tremendous turn 2 play either.
Yeah, taking a look at BunnyHoppor's deck list, he does have one copy of Equality. We've seen some even Paladins put Equality in and out ever since its nerf to 4 mana. It has been a pretty big detriment to its board clearing abilities, but not the biggest of deals. They end up, putting a little bit more tech in, or perhaps just a little bit more early game, like an extra 2-drop or so.
Does decide it is the Pyromancer he'd like to play. This could indicate that he's not really looking to use coin next turn if this goes uncontested, because he can just give it Divine Shield with his Argent Protector and develop an additional 1/1 from his hero power.
Yep. LionKing picks up a second Glacial Shard, so that becomes a likelier candidate for him to want to use the bounce effects or Sonya, except they don't have the charge ability, so you need a turn to get set up. Doesn't feel that reliable, but, Zola helps add to that case. If you're able to Glacial Shard Zola next turn, and then set up Shining Shadow Dancer, get both them back.
And this dagger attack is actually somewhat important, because BunnyHoppor does have the coin. If he did coin out a Corpse Taker here, which would eliminate LionKing's board, that would leave him with a Pyromancer if LionKing didn't have the dagger attack in. So definitely a heads-up play from the Chinese player.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's not the biggest of deals. Pyromancer already did 3 damage anyways because the rogue attacked into it. It's just so that it doesn't become problematic for a coin Blessing of Kings. I think that'd be like the ultimate punish. But coin Corpse Taker here still looks very good to me. So if you're LionKing here, if you have the Glacial Shard and the Zola, that's 3 that you have guaranteed. If you're able to trade both of them with Sonya Shadow Dancer, that's 5. So that it would be LionKing's quest completion if he's able to pull this off. But BunnyHoppor has that consecration ready. So I think that would be wishful thinking, to say the least. However, it's a bad matchup. Maybe LionKing has to take that risk.
All right, well, it will be another Glacial Shard coming down, and that is 2 on the quest. Gonna look to complete there. And Glacial Shard is a good minion to be trying to complete on in this matchup, because your opponent is playing a deck that plays these mid-sized minions and buff cards, so the freeze effect and getting repeated use out of it is quite powerful. One of the interesting things here is BunnyHoppor has that Consecration, which he kept in his opening hand. That's actually something you don't often see. Consecration is usually thought to be a card which is particularly powerful against, say, a deck like Zoo, but it is a recognition of this kind of game state coming up, where okay, I need to keep you off of being able to have minions that you can potentially get Sonya down to get additional plays from. Also, if anyone is worried about me, production did bring me some caffeine.
Yes, that's right. We can all rejoice in peace. The Consecration still looks pretty important to shut down that possibility of Sonya, but if BunnyHoppor chooses to play the Glass Knight, LionKing is going to go for a pretty big punish here. And that might already be the tides turning in this series. Now, the thing is, if BunnyHoppor did go for the Consecration, wow, what a draw.
That's actually a really big deal, because it allows LionKing to kill this Corpse Taker, get additional copies from his minions, and reset the Sonya.
Right, Shadow Step to
He
Sonya.
can dagger here, Sonya attack both, attack both in, or rather dagger attack. It doesn't really matter the order. And then Shadow Step the Sonya. He doesn't have chargers, though. He doesn't have rushers, so he has no way to really take advantage of the Sonya like you can with South Sea Deckhand. But it's still a very powerful situation that sets him up for future turns. And he's already at 3, I believe. This is the third. This is the third shard in his hand, and it will give him the fuel to reset. He may not even need to Shadow Step, is the thing. He may actually want to save the Shadow Step to reset with something else, because this Sonya, without, he already has the tools to reset, right? So it's possible that it's not worth using the Shadow Step here on the Sonya, because he would have to, in order for the Sonya to be powerful, Yeah, I kind of like this. As long as he does use the Shadow Step, yes, on something. This does leave him in a somewhat weird position if he does get Consecrationed, because he didn't actually clear off the Corpse Taker. But you know, he does still have the completion of the quest from that Bounce Glacial Shard.
Well, BunnyHoppor got punished by that scenario, and you know, to his credit, it was like the only card that could really punish him is the Sonya Shadow Dancer, versus him wanting to develop is a much more proactive plan that generally fares better against the plays that Lion King would have on average. So it's not like Lion King has a Sonya every single game, so more often than not, he can make that play. But, you know, if he has the hard read that he has a Sonya Shadow Dancer, obviously he wants to eliminate that possibility. Now, the quest is completed next turn.
Yes.
This is very problematic for BunnyHoppor. However, Lion King needs a little bit more resources because he will get outvalued.
It is also crucially completed on this. You know, the glacial shards have been such a huge deal in keeping BunnyHoppor sort of contained. Otherwise this Corpse Taker's been in play for several turns now.
Right.
And there's a King's in hand. If that had been frozen multiple times, it's just been a lot of damage to Lion King's face. And now look at this. We're seeing that Wax Elemental come down and Zola on the Wax Elemental. It looks like.
Yeah.
That is just so much that BunnyHoppor needs to fight through.
Such a perfect specimen.
So BunnyHoppor now has a couple of choices, but the Spiker Steed is the first thing that I gravitated towards because you had the Divine Shield on the Glass Knight. Your opponent is holding one card with the Wax Elemental #2 that from the Zola was created. And I think the number one thing that you're concerned about ultimately is what if my opponent has like some kind of vanish to deal with the Spiker Steed, but it's like your opponent loses a little bit of ground too. I guess they do create a little bit of resources in the process, so it wouldn't be the biggest of deals. Other than that, do you see any other play that you'd like besides the Spiker Steed?
I mean, I don't really like any play here. I mean, Spiker Steed is fine. It at least helps mitigate some amount of damage that you'd be taking, but it's not actually making inroads in your opponent's board. I mean, I think that frankly, BunnyHoppor is in a terrible position here.
Yeah. All right, well, Lion picked up another Wax Elemental.
Yeah, big Waxy, left and right.
Big Waxy. 2-star Waxy. I think Lion King has the Ziliax also, but this is a lot to chew through, stats-wise. Giving up a lot.
Yeah. You are, but you every single minion you draw is a 4/4, and your opponent has nothing on board.
True. For now, I mean, I'm thinking that if Lion King doesn't pick up more resource generation,
it is theoretically possible that BunnyHoppor gets to say King's this, kill the Ziliax, but then he just loses his minion to the Divine Shield of the Wax Elemental.
Well, it could pick up the Auto Defense Matrix, or he can Divine Shield beforehand.
Sure.
To keep it as a 6/6.
Let me think.
Yeah, that is true. If he does play the Blessing of Kings plus the Argent Protector, that's that guy. He can kill it, not give any life to Lion King as well, which is fairly crucial because he does need to actually end the game before Lion King finds an Elven Minstrel in particular. Which is, of course, the main reason that Lion King kept that Wax Elemental in his hand. He wants to ensure that he does retain combo if he does pick up an Elven Minstrel to reload.
Reporting for duty.
That stings. Lion King would have loved to have that extra life.
All right, Novice
is
Engineer,
good.
that's a great draw. And
that's a good
Vicious
draw,
Scalehide,
too.
that's some extra life. And now Lion King actually has the full clear. Can use the Scalehide and the Dagger to take down both of BunnyHoppor's remaining minions if he chooses.
Yeah. Tyrion comes down this turn from BunnyHoppor, and that requires 2 minions to answer it. Big thing is that Lion King's getting back life with that Vicious Scalehide.
Right. And now Lion King back to 22. And the window that BunnyHoppor has to try and out-resource him is definitely closing. Tyrion here is at least reasonably powerful, because if it does die, he still gets the weapon, and he potentially try and reload behind that. If LionKing, for instance, draws preparation this turn, that may be a window that BunnyHoppor has to get back into the game.
Sure.
But that window is very small, because LionKing has lots of draws that really just put things away.
He does, but as the game progresses, BunnyHoppor has a way to answer a big wide board too. So if LionKing gets kind of reckless, he could be walking into an equality scenario. Mimic Pod is good.
Mimic Pod is a serious card for LionKing. You see it. Preparation, though. We were talking about how that is air. That is Mimic Pod into double air. So that is exactly what BunnyHoppor needed, was for LionKing to brick this turn. He needed him to hit nothing of value this turn, and that's exactly what happened.
Ouch.
And he's going to have a pretty strong read on what that card is when LionKing doesn't play it this turn.
Oh, man. You gotta feel bad for LionKing based off that. That was like the one card he didn't need, and that was the one you were calling out. You're like, yes, I guess if he draws preparation.
I mean, this is still not a disaster situation just yet, because there is that Wax Elemental that he'd been previously holding for combo. Obviously, these preparations, that's what they're good for, is enabling combo.
All right, well, back to the drawing board, I suppose.
I mean, BunnyHoppor can Consecration here to clear off the shield, play a Chain Gang and Hero Power, kill the Wax Elemental with the weapon. That at least gives, gets rid of the Divine Shielded minion, gets a minion, 2 minions on board, so he has a likely target to attack with the Blessing of Kings the following turn. Different direction, though. Decides to Hydrologist.
Yeah, it could be BunnyHoppor looking for a specific secret to help him out in this scenario. Auto Defense Matrix works really well with Serenite Chain Gang. Hidden Wisdom, interesting. So BunnyHoppor says, you know what, my hand doesn't look very good. Maybe I need to trick my opponent into playing multiple cards per turn, and then I can use Hidden Wisdom in order to draw and keep up my resources. And in the meantime, LionKing is going to treat this as if it is Auto Defense Matrix or Noble Sacrifice. And he's going to be very cautious with how he attacks.
Reporting for duty.
Lab Recruiter. Well, that's not bad. It's at least a minion, and he can get additional copies of Novice Engineer, which obviously is a fantastic card for him to draw at any point because it represents additional resources and board presence.
Man, what is the play long-term for LionKing here? I mean, what is he even shuffling to his deck? Is he shuffling Novice Engineer? Is he shuffling a Wax Elemental?
I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be Novice, because if he just draws Wax Elementals, he theoretically loses. If he just draws a Wax Elemental every turn, he's not actually generating very much compared to BunnyHoppor's weapon and hero power. He's actually falling behind.
That makes sense.
At least in the near future. So I would expect that if he Lab Recruiters this turn, and I think he needs to just for board presence, that it would be on the Novice Engineer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Novice Engineer has the ability to keep chain to itself. Attacks first for the Auto Defense Matrix and Noble Sacrifice.
And interestingly, that does just get 2 damage in. The fact that BunnyHoppor played a secret here actually mattered quite a bit in terms of simply generating.
It's as if it is a Noble Sacrifice.
Right.
He got 2 secrets in 1.
And now, I think from BunnyHoppor's perspective, he's got to be able to identify that card in hand as preparation. Ooh, Valinir. That's not the best of draws given the circumstances, considering he has the Ashspring already.
Right, that's true. But this turn, he doesn't have to play the Valinir. He has the Consecration and the Blessing of Kings and the Avenging Wrath as options at this point. If you Consecration first, Avenging Wrath has a pretty decent chance of just clearing the board based off of your combination of your weapon, your minion attack, and everything else, and then you can push damage.
I mean, there's the option he could Consecration Blessing of Kings, and swing into one of these with trade his 2/2 and send the 5/5 to face, or just not worry about killing everything. just attack through with the 2/2, skip King's your 5/5, send 9 to face, put Lion King down to 7 when you have Avenging Wrath in hand.
I like that.
Yeah, that's the play I like right now.
I like the sound of that.
So this is just getting a lot of damage into face. You still have this weapon, you still have this Avenging Wrath. That puts Lion King basically on having to find something really good this turn.
Yep, Vanish isn't good enough.
Shadow Step is not either. I think that's just it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything Lion King can do about this. He's staring at lethal on board, doesn't have the cards to do it, and he just continually kept whiffing. Quest Rogue looked like it had an opportunity to do it.
And BunnyHoppor, he's always a very stoic player. We saw him let out, what looked like a sigh of relief right there, because that was a game that looked like it was very much going against him. There was a very fast quest completion from Lion King, and BunnyHoppor, didn't have the best draw, but the one-turn brick into kind of a two-turn brick from Lion King there when it was the Mimic Pod into preparation, then the Lab Recruiter when he really needed something powerful just was not enough.
Yeah, Quest Rogue struggled to say the least, and that's why you don't give up until the game is 100% over. So that's going to be the first game in the books here, as Lion King will have to go back to the drawing board, but that was definitely a heartbreaker if you're a Lion King fan. So we're just getting started here with this best of 5 with game number 1. Don't go anywhere. More action continues right after this break.
这次来参赛的所有的选手都是从国内最顶尖的比赛当中选拔出来的，比以往都要厉害一点吧。算了一下，可能是他败者组出现，然后其实我已经准备1天多了。他应该能算到一个大哥的角色，就一个5，但是那个3可能没有算到。
我就希望我每一手不要打错，然后排序正常，这样子的话，我觉得就没有任何问题。打比赛的时候，我会尽量让自己放松，然后把这个比赛就是当成一个天梯。
不知道为什么打得这么惨，太紧张了。虽然野猪木玩过很多场，但是这么紧张还是容易导致失误。比赛的状态真的是非常的重要，主要还是心态上特别的紧张吧。因为8进4，我特别的想回 HCT 复仇，然后就这种心情过于激动，然后导致了比赛太过紧张。
他如果排序不是特别好的话，我认为快攻还是非常容易在这个上面就是冲死他的。
对面是个回血能力比较弱的模块树，然后当时我因为没有 DK， 所以我只能去抢他的脸，才能有机会打死他。
我有21血，所以是绝对不死的，除非他有 DK 可以回血缓过来，但是并不会有太好的转机，所以我选择了全部打脸。
这次没有拿到冠军，还是有点可惜。可能就是这次我有些对局的理解不够深，才输掉决赛。
得到了这个成绩，也是对我5年以来一直努力打炉石的肯定，以及对我未来继续坚持炉石的鼓励。
炉石这个游戏带给了我很多不一样的乐趣，然后还让我认识了不少的朋友，跟我算是一个缘分吧，让我正好碰到了他，我觉得还是蛮感谢的。
我希望的就是以后能够继续的努力，改正自己的心态。我希望这些批评能够化为我今后努力的动力，然后我以后会用实力证明我自己。
BunnyHoppor is currently up 1-0. He is the favorite of the event, according to many people, statisticians, fans, pros who evaluate the groups. But will it come to reality? We all look at the numbers, we all go by our experiences and anecdotes, but only the results can speak for themselves in terms of who is going to advance today. LionKing, I feel for him. I feel like that was his breakthrough moment, and now that he lost game 1, it almost feels like he's down 0-2 already.
It does, because that game must have felt like it was within his grasp.
Yeah.
He knew he had a really difficult matchup coming in, and once he got that quest online so quickly, he still had a lot of life left to work with. You know, you've got to be feeling, all right, I've got this. You know, I'm gonna win, and then to have everything fall apart toward the end there must be pretty crushing for him.
Yeah, no doubt.
But LionKing is a player who is very much known for his determination, his persistence. He was a player who I believe made 6 Gold Series final performances. I'm not really sure exactly.
Yeah,
what
top stage.
Yeah, final stage. He made the final stage of Gold Series, I think, 6 times as an uninvited player. He had to play through the open bracket so many times, and now he has made multiple championship appearances. You know, after that run, and you know, he is certainly not one who gives up at any opposition.
Yeah, a lot of the players have kind of come and gone over the years. LionKing's a player that kind of kept proving himself through consistency. You know, it reminds me a lot of what Muzzy had to do for a few years leading up to 2017 when he eventually made his first World Championship appearance. People were just like, yeah, I know Muzzy's a really good player, top ladder finisher, but how come we don't really see him that much? It's because he wasn't really getting invited to a lot of those tournaments. He was proving himself, grinding all those open cups and ladders, and now there's no one that questions whenever he gets invited to a tournament. Same is kind of being said about LionKing, but over in China.
Yeah, and now this was another pretty tough matchup. He's got his even Warlock up against the mid-range Hunter for BunnyHoppor. We haven't seen mid-range Hunter much in this tournament so far, but that's because it has very frequently been banned.
Right.
And LionKing, however, is allowing BunnyHoppor to play this in this matchup.
Yeah, rightfully so, too, because mid-range Hunter is a very flexible deck. It has it all. You know, part of what made mid-range Hunter so good in the past was because it had Starving Buzzard and Unleash the Hounds for card draw. It had a lot of huge burst with Kill Command and Leroy. It had great early game curve. It had good late game opportunity. And that's very much the same of how it is now. It doesn't need Emerald Spellstone in order to have that powerful mid-game punch, because it still can rely on good solid curves through Dire Maul, Crackling Razor Maul, Animal Companion, and then have top end with Tundra Rhino and a bunch of Scavenging Hyenas for maximum burst.
And Master's Call is really just the glue that holds it all together, because it lets you play that much early game and not really just worry in the mid game, oh, well, I just drew all my early game and I ran out of stuff. With Master's Call, you know, you end up either, well, you do your early game early, okay, well, you know, now you just get your mid game and late game out of your deck. Oh, I drew, you know, all of my late game, okay, well, I can at least gut my deck of all of these expensive cards, rather than the low cheap cards with a single draw.
All right.
SM Orc.
He's got the blessing. He's got the Huffer on turn 2, and that was a decision that took a while. I was kind of thinking Crackling Razor Maul was a foregone conclusion. BunnyHoppor, what is he really trying to accomplish? Is it just because he wanted that Huffer? He wanted that pressure this fast?
Well, I think that any of the Animal Companions is pretty good pressure there. And then a Crackling Razor Maw on a larger minion is just much more powerful. If he Crackling Razor Maws this Dire Maul, say he gets a weak set of options, it's not really that exciting.
Sure.
Whereas, you know, say he hits Misha. Okay, well now, you know, any plus health gets a 4/4 out of range of Spellstone.
Right.
You know, any Wind Fury, obviously much more powerful on those. So the adapt power is magnified on larger minions. So I think that was a lot of the thought process going into that for Bunny there.
I like it. And it ends up paying off pretty handsomely. Now look at LionKing's act of desperation, playing a Sun Fury Protector. And that is...
got me a 2-3.
I mean, that's perfect for BunnyHoppor of how he wants to deal with it. He has the Spring Paw and the Candle Shot. He has the Crackling Razor Maw and any combination of one source of damage.
This is an interesting spot, actually, because if he does decide to use the Razor Maw here, he runs the risk of missing. If he does say he Razor Maws the Dire Mole and gets all defensive options, nothing that actually gives poisonous or any kind of plus attack, then he's not necessarily in a great spot.
Right, and almost anything he does walks into Hellfire. Even this is +3 health.
+3 attack. Get him!
I like it.
He's got to be a little worried if he does +3 attack here, because that is 7 damage, and that does put your opponent immediately into range to play a Hooked Reaver, and you don't have a way to deal with Hooked Reaver right now. That said, you're certainly not +3 attacking and then trading. Or not attacking phase, because your opponent's just going to trade. So it's just a matter of what are we going to see. All right, well, this is the philosophy of, well, you make them have it.
Yeah, and even if he had it, it's not like you're completely hopeless. You still have Master's Call and Flanking Strike to back it up on the following turn. Whew, this Hellfire hurts a lot. So you might end up just using the Spellstone as just just as it is right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for Hellfire here, because he wants to upgrade the Spellstone. He wants to have Spellstone for 5 to something, the next thing that comes down.
Yeah, that's true. It hurts so bad. You're down single digits. And now BunnyHoppor has the ability to either redevelop minions or go for that Master's Call. One thing that is interesting is I actually looked up the card data for Master's Call, and it's one of its highest win rates is actually just played straight up on curve.
Yeah.
When you play Mid-Range Hunter, you actually anticipate it wanting to curve out with minions, but in a lot of matchups, Mid-Range Hunter is about exploding its mid game.
Yes, and one of the things that's important about Mid-Range Hunter is it's actually a deck that's very synergy driven. Things like the Spring Paw and the Hyena and the Crackling Razor Maw and Tundra Rhino, all of these pieces fit together, and they're so much better when you draw them all. And Master's Call helps you fit all those pieces together and actually manifest your synergies rather than just kind of hoping that they come out at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very surprised at how much of a significant win rate. Because then after that, it drops off a little bit because I think you're coming up on your power turn. So turns 5, 6, 7, you want to hit like, your high mains. You want to hit like the big flanking strike swing turns. And then again in the late game, Master Call's win percentage spikes up again because you fill up your mana curve. So it's just one of those things where, don't be afraid to pull a trigger on Master's Call to get that value if the situation calls for it.
But do be afraid of a Hyena on the opposing side, because that thing you got a hand, and LionKing wastes no time, snaps off the Spellstone to keep himself afloat.
Yeah, in this position, BunnyHoppor has 2 choices: the Master Call or the tracking. Master's Call ends up working sometimes against tracking. Like, tracking can pick up the beast that you want to pull anyways. So this could be one of the situations where BunnyHoppor wants to draw with Master's Call first, even though tracking might be more efficient for his tempo, because he can develop stronger minions with 4 mana as opposed to 2. That being said, he drew the high main. That is a nice draw from BunnyHoppor.
Yeah, the high main gives him an excellent power play next turn, and even just another Hyena here. A lot of players will hold their Hyena until they can get trades, and they're like, okay, I want to ensure my opponent can't easily kill it. Just make him have it, and that's what BunnyHoppor has done every turn so far here. And we see the Defile draw that may look good, but it's important to note that Hyena has text, and when that Defile goes off, that Hyena is going to eat the bones of those poor remaining little beasts there and get out of range of the additional tick. So that's the way to get yourself dead.
Yeah, I have made lots of mistakes playing Scavenging
Hyena. Hyena is just such an incredibly powerful card in the current Hunter decks, and that is driven almost entirely by the strength of Spring Paw. And not only the strength of Spring Paw, but the strength of Spring Paw alongside Master's Call, ensuring you have so much access to it that you just can totally run away with games, but with a huge Hyena very early on. And also just, obviously, opponents not quite realizing they just look at a board, oh, 1-2, great, I'll Defile it. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, this is rough.
Yeah, and here, LionKing's like, okay, well, I have to do something to protect myself, but playing to the board when the Hyena in play and other... Oh, my God, is that just going to be lethal? It might be.
Yeah. Hold on. So Timberwolf plus this right now is 5 plus 3, so 8, 10.
And then plus 4 more.
Plus 4.
Oh, it's all. Oh no, it is lethal, right?
Yeah, because
it's
you hero power.
The Timberwolf plus the Spring Paw Lynx that's plus another 4 from there. So it's, the board gets 4, 3, 4, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
No,
so it's 13.
Which is just off, right?
Yeah.
No, you 4, 3, you 4, 3, 4, then hero power. Is that
no? 4, 3, 4 is
4 plus
11.
3 plus another 4. Right, 11. Or right, 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is just shy of lethal. So
well, could he get another tracking for lethal?
He runs out of mana. He has no other.
Yeah.
He could tracking and get another Timberwolf.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If he
No,
trackings
that's
here
lethal.
and gets the second Timberwolf, that is just lethal.
There's 14 cards remaining.
Oh no, it's not. There's not enough mana. Never mind.
Right, because he can't hero power at that point.
But this is still, okay. Well, I'll clear off, your board, and do just shy of lethal damage to you. 11 to the face, plus 2 more from the steady shot.
Very
All right,
close.
good luck.
Even Warlock looks like it's toasty toast here. Nothing to do.
Life tap. That's all you can do is say, all right, well, I'm dead, but you didn't get the killing blow, and now BunnyHoppor 2-0 lead over LionKing. Really, really dominant performance so far.
Yeah, but I mean, this is kind of the expected result that we were anticipating, largely because, BunnyHoppor said it in his piece. He knows LionKing likes to play anti-control. He likes to be greedy, likes to punish them with really powerful mid-range or combo decks. And that's not what BunnyHoppor brought. He brought this aggressive strategy and shows his flexibility as a player. Because, last time in the Winter Championship, he was bringing in a control lineup. That big spell mage and the Shutterwalk Mirror that lasted for like 5 hours against Viper.
Yeah, BunnyHoppor had a lot of anti-control style decks in his previous appearance that, would go up against potentially a greedier lineup and maybe run into some trouble. But here, LionKing's the one who's going greedy, and BunnyHoppor's like, all right, well, I'm just going to beat you up.
Yeah, the good old beat-em-up strategy is still very good in Hearthstone, even though everyone has felt like aggro has lost a step or two. It's still very strong and very robust.
It's always when people think aggro is dead that aggro is on the verge of a resurgence. It is when people stop playing decks to beat stuff like Scavenging Hyena or the raiding party into Shadowblade into Dread Corsair that you just hit them in the face and they're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so the last deck remaining here from BunnyHoppor still going to be very strong up against all of what LionKing does. I'm not really sure exactly what LionKing is choosing to do because he's switching decks too, and that's something that you kind of have your pick of the litter, but almost all the decks that he's going to go up against, he can struggle.
Yeah, I mean, he has to take down. It's the rogue deck that remains. It was, in fact, BunnyHoppor's mage deck that was banned in this matchup. So it will be that raiding party tempo aggro rogue that BunnyHoppor has remaining. And as we were saying earlier, when we were watching Faeli play in a similar circumstance, well, what do? Do you decide I want to try and play my best matchup first and sort of spend as much time on stage trying to fight back and as I can, or you say, all right, this is my worst matchup. I'm gonna have to win it anyway. I'm gonna save my mental energy for my game matches tomorrow if I lose right away.
All right, well, BunnyHoppor's up 2-0. If he wins one more, he is through to the winner's match. We'll find out what happens when we come back to the Hearthstone Championship Tour's Winter Championship.
As night falls over the HCT Winter Championship, the pressure escalates for our world-class field of players. Every match, every game, every move becomes even more crucial as the HCT Winter Championship continues.
With the developers.
Of all the cards in Hearthstone, I would say probably my favorite from an aesthetic standpoint, or certainly from an art standpoint, would be Archmage Antonidas. That one was just a perennial favorite of mine. From the very first release of the set, it was a card that meant a lot in that we hadn't seen a lot of him in World of Warcraft, but to actually get to realize him in the flesh, so to speak, in a full color version, if not for the first time, then certainly I think the most epic time through the art of Wayne Reynolds. I ended up loving the piece so much that I ended up purchasing the original from him, and it currently hangs in my studio at home, and I love the piece.
Probably the Inquisitor. That one I actually had to double check and make sure that that was the final art because it looked like something out of a Del Toro movie.
One of my favorite looking cards from Witchwood was Blood Witch, just because it was a really well done style, and it kept this idea of both like evil and cute going on a gnome, and I'm not normally huge on gnomes.
Medivh is probably one of my favorite cards, just because he looks so jovial. He's holding his cup, he's so happy. He's just like, yeah, it's party time, let's go, let's have a good time. So I really enjoy that art.
The Cabal Shadow Priest is one of the oldest cards, but her golden animation has her like taking control of someone, and it's like a purple glow. It's just super cool to me.
One of my favorite pieces of art from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan was Cabal Crystal Runner. I've always been a fan of Draenei, and it does a really great job of conveying this sort of like frantic need to get a job done or a task done. It works really well with the theme of the set.
Countess Ashmore, just beautiful art. The full-blown piece of her is just fantastic, like her in the forest is super cool.
Another piece I really enjoy a lot is actually Cobalt Librarian by Matt Dixon. There's so much going on in that piece. You know, he's a librarian, which is very serious usually. They always tell you, shh, be quiet. But he's standing there and he has this wonder in his eye and looking around at all these books and all this knowledge in front of him, and then he accidentally sets everything on fire.
By earth, by air, rain and fire. The only things a real troll desire. Push to smash and to mash and to bash and maybe mangle. Hear it strangle. Thorn, you'll be warned. My low's gonna trash ya. Say your prayers with voodoo, bashy bashy. Time for fun, we're gonna run ya through. Too bad for you.
It's only once a generation.
One victor wins the confrontation.
Standing here, got no fear. I'm the best in the arena.
Man, you never seen a hero cut you down to zero.
Victory is no joke. Careful at your door.
Cloak.
Get your courage. Our star is born. Here in Stranglehold.
BunnyHoppor currently leads 2-0, one game away from joining fellow German Viper in the 3-0 club, because apparently that is a very open membership today, as we have several players who have swept their way through, and BunnyHoppor could be joining them. Given that LionKing, he already kind of said, you know what, BunnyHoppor is my toughest matchup. I think that the first match won't go my way, but the other matches in the group is probably where LionKing will try his hand. But we don't want to give up just yet either. You know, it's still you know, possible that this Tempo Rogue, this Pirate Rogue, this whatever you want to call it, could fall flat and that he's able to 3-0 it, but it's very difficult because he still has decks like Quest Rogue, which is very vulnerable to that kind of strategy.
LionKing will be playing his Warlock deck this game, but as we noted earlier, this is a Warlock deck that, you know, is a little bit teched for the control matchups, for the combo matchups. He doesn't even have Doomsayer in this deck. He has Mojo Master Zihi, he has Nerubian Unraveler, he has Black Knight. He has a lot of cards that are just poor in a matchup against an efficient, aggressive deck. And you know, he's going to be in a rough spot if he draws that part of his deck in this matchup.
All right, well, without those Doomsayers, and I mean, he at least has like the
He's Plated Beetle. He has one Plated Beetle. He has one Acidic Swamp.
Yeah, and we've seen the Sun Fury Protectors kind of rotate in and out a lot of times, and I like that. You know, he has that Mojo Master Zihi as a nod to the slower control decks combo deck that might be in his group. So that ends up working out better overall, but for this matchup, it is painful to say the least. BunnyHoppor having a pretty good opening hand. I mean, he's got Firefly, he's got Card Draw, he's got Valdori Strider, just one Henge Clan Thug, and he will be firing on all fronts.
All right, well, we do see the Firefly can be played. Yeah, it looks like we got a little bit of a display issue here.
Maybe Firefly will light up the board.
Yeah, maybe.
Or it's a new camera setting for Hearthstone.
Night mode.
Night mode, so that way you can just stay up on your bed, stay up late in the bed playing Hearthstone.
Firefly has stealth. He's been buffed. We didn't see the Gen result either.
He life tapped.
All right.
So we're now casting
Play
for
by
the
ear.
blind.
All right. Can only tell what happens via sounds. Thankfully,
right.
I played a lot of Hearthstone, and I know these sounds.
I play Hearthstone muted a lot because I don't want people at work to know that I'm playing Hearthstone during the meetings.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right,
All
and we do see that that draw from LionKing from that life tap, which we heard was that Unraveler, which again is a very poor card overall in this matchup.
Yes. BunnyHoppor going for the attack. Nope. Okay. Yeah, obviously save the attack in case he draws Hench Clan Thug. This was kind of something that we were talking about the previous series that Pilgrim and I casted with Jing. Being able to squeeze in that one extra damage to the Rogue. Against Even Warlock, it is a little bit suspect at times, though, because you might help them get to that 15 threshold just fast enough.
There's the Thug.
And BunnyHoppor is rewarded.
So gonna get paid off for saving that charge in the dagger. But LionKing does also get a little bit paid off there because he has the Spellstone in his hand, so he can potentially just coin out Spellstone and kill that Thug.
So many options.
BunnyHoppor, though, will certainly take his time, as always.
Yeah, I mean, Henchclan Thug here is the play. Faldora Strider seems like the logical turn 4 play. He does have the option of trying to find a way to squeeze in Raiding Party as the game goes on, but with Rogue, you are a class that likes to put minions onto the board first and then use things like card draw and sap and big burst damage to wrap up the game. Because Rogue's tools are so powerful to gain the immediate tempo. You don't want to do it just as a 1-for-1. Oh, a Hellfire, number 2.
I think Hellfire is obviously not what he's looking to do this turn, since he does have that Spellstone. Though there is, interestingly, he could coin attack Hellfire, and then he does have a fully upgraded Spellstone,
right?
Which can then take down the Faldora Strider. If he does coin, if he coins the Spellstone now and eats the Firefly here, he's still in a reasonable spot, and he has the 2/2 in play, and then can potentially use the Hellfire the following turn.
Yeah, do you think it's too greedy to try and hold the coin for his 6 drops, though, or something? Because it just feels like if he coins out the Spellstone, he's still not in a good position the following turn.
It's true that he ends up in a bit of an awkward spot.
It's just like, you don't have a really good play afterwards. I totally understand. This is a very rational play, and honestly, I want to do that too. It's just one of those things where I worry about the future,
I do too, man. I do too.
Yeah, you wake up, it's like, don't know what's going to happen. And in this situation, the next turn, you might realistically just be stranded and alone forever.
Feels bad, man.
In the dark. But at least there's Hearthstone Night Mode.
BunnyHoppor looks to be, again, taking his time, but yeah, will be the Faldora Strider that comes down this turn. And LionKing does have the answer. Yeah. He can trade Hellfire if he so chooses.
No attack here, which is definitely something to think about. Like, BunnyHoppor doesn't actually have a direct, obvious play for turn 5, so he could have spent his turn hitting the Vulgar Homunculus and then hitting it again the following turn. That being said, I mean, he's leaving his options flexible in case he doesn't necessarily want to spend his mana redaggering the next turn and might need it. Say, for example, he picked up Captain Greenskin. He wants to actually punch through it. Now, LionKing has to, again, debate if he wants to Hellfire here, and I think he does. Not the greatest use of it, but hey, this is definitely one of those matches where you do not want a single thing to stick.
Ooh, okay. So
that's really good.
Prep Raiding Party here has got to be pretty attractive. Gives BunnyHoppor a bunch of resources, guaranteed 2 minions and the Shadow Blade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and in the best case scenario, you might be able to play both those minions if you get like Dread Corsairs and
And you have seen the Hellfire here, so
that's right.
He doesn't know that there is another one waiting in the hand.
Ooh, play all those cards. Shadowblade will discount the Dread Corsair to a 1 mana cost minion, and then you can play South Sea Deckhand. But just because you can doesn't mean you want to. You probably want to avoid situations where your opponent can punish you. But on 5 mana, there's not that much that LionKing can do.
Yeah, and you also have the Myras remaining in your hand, so if your opponent does answer this, you've got to feel, okay, well, I'm in a pretty good spot where I have great tools to follow these things up. He did see the... Oh, all right. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and play...
Makes him a little bit more resilient to things like Defile. LionKing. Ugh, nothing good.
Tap Hellfire.
Hellfire again. But then he goes down to 19. He's still not even within the range of the... Hooked Reaver.
Ooh.
That's a good draw.
It is a good draw.
It's a good draw, too, because BunnyHoppor hits him down to 16.
Right.
So LionKing, if he had a Hooked Reaver, couldn't play a 2-cost minion with it.
Right. He can still tap into it, assuming that he swings. But then you have... It's like, okay, well, you tap into Hooked Reaver. That means that you get the Hooked Reaver sapped.
Right.
And you're at 14 life. You connect for a bunch more damage, including the Deckhand. And then you still have the Myras remaining that can potentially find you Eviscerates to close out the game.
Yeah, we saw exactly that. Although, kind of wondering if BunnyHoppor even cares about the Hooked Reaver coming down. Like, if I were him, I'd even consider just hitting anyways.
Oh yeah, for sure. You definitely want to swing. You definitely just want to get him. And like Hooked Reaver, particularly given the saps in hand, Hooked Reaver is not a scary proposition.
Right.
And the worst case scenario is what? Defile Hooked Reaver.
Yeah.
And that just kills your 1 health guy who already gets to attack. And there actually isn't a Hooked Reaver, which makes the situation even more dire for LionKing.
Look at the tech cards: Moja Master Z, Nerubian Raveler, Black Knight.
Yeah, we are seeing LionKing really end up punished for his specific not only deck choices but card choices within the deck.
Yeah, they just need like Skull King Geist, and then you have all of the Avengers assembled. That's pretty much it.
With our power combined, we create Captain Combo Hate.
With our powers combined, we too can go 0-3.
Ooh, too soon. He's not dead yet. Well, yes, he is, but...
Not yet, but pretty close. This is, especially because he's playing a 3-health minion, this is as bad as it gets, because BunnyHoppor has a backstab Myers now.
Ooh, or Van Cleef.
Well, Van Cleef is good for the following turn as well. The only problem is that, don't have enough mana to do everything. So Van Cleef comes out as a 4-4 or 6-6, and you don't want to stab that.
You can just, backstab, stab, play your Van Cleef. Maybe it is better to just Myras here. You also just have three spiders in your deck, so
it's true.
You're likely to create an additional board with the Myras as well.
I'm trying to look for what are the cards that he can play even right now, and there's not many, to be honest. He already had draw into South Sea Deckhand and Firefly, so it's like Deadly Poison and Eviscerate. That's what he can utilize with the remaining mana here. I mean, he might pick up a second copy of some of those other cards. Looks like he might even be favoring what you were doing, because if he plays Van Cleef now and pushes 3 damage, his opponent goes down to 11 with 8 showing for him, which means that he can Myros for the lethal the following turn.
Yeah.
So I like that setup. And again, it's turn 7. This is the last turn that LionKing will have before he starts hitting power turn after power turn. And he's got nothing. He has got nothing. Nada. Zilch.
Maybe you can life tap into, the Falcon guy. It's not attack. But yeah, LionKing, he's gonna dig, but like you said, there's really nothing there. Spellbreaker can reduce the damage of that Van Cleef, which means that at least there's not lethal on board, I guess.
Your magic shall not
But that's your big finish here. It's just not gonna cut it. Leroy doesn't even need the rest of his deck drawn by that Myras, and BunnyHoppor is going to finish off the clean sweep 3-0.
Yeah, cruising to a victory. Again, another powerful deck-building victory here for BunnyHoppor, bringing a more aggressive lineup and something that his opponent was not anticipating, because everyone's talking about how good OTK is. Everyone's talking about how good all these other decks are being played, and yet BunnyHoppor bringing some stuff that is a little bit on the newer side. A lot of people were saying that they wanted to bring more of this pirate aggressive tempo rogue, but they didn't necessarily have the courage to do so.
I think we actually look back. I believe the aggressive lineups won every single match they played today.
Did they?
I think that's correct.
Okay, wow. Well, maybe something to look forward to in terms of is the aggro going to keep this up, or is it because players were targeting each other in the very first match because they did know their opponents? We saw in the very beginning. Viper's like, I know I'm playing as Nodlord. He loves playing anti-control. He loves playing these combo decks. I'm just going to get him with Murlocs. Yep. And he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And BunnyHoppor, he just decided, all right, well, similar sort of thought about LionKing. He loves those decks like Q-Block. I'm just going to run him over.
All right. Well, we have our winner, BunnyHoppor, waiting with TJ for a couple words on his victory.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm joined by BunnyHoppor, or should I say Dr. Hopper. Recently finished your PhD, and I know you just played a Hearthstone match and you won. Congratulations on that. But what have you been doing with all your free time?
Basically streaming every single day, around 10 to 5, and then practicing for tournaments like this one and Star Ladder and playoffs. Yeah, it's pretty much been my day.
You can go ahead and plug your stream if you want. I'll allow it.
Well, it's Twitch TV, and then it's my name, BunnyHoppor, just spelled out. Yeah.
Wow, creative name. But I'll ask the Hearthstone questions now. You decided to bring an aggressive lineup to the tournament, which, at least for me personally, not something that I'm used to watching you play. But obviously, it was a good choice for the metagame after seeing the decks. But what made you decide on an aggressive deck to begin with?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I like control style a little bit more, and I don't know. I usually just, also on stream, I played mostly control decks and like Malygos Rogue and stuff like that. But I've seen LionKing in a few tournaments before, and he likes to go Q-Block, Quest Rogue, that kind of stuff. And I know Bobby X also is a Quest Rogue lover. So I was expecting very anti-controllish stuff, so I couldn't really bring what I wanted to bring. So I had to just go with a more aggressive line, and it seems decent versus my group.
Yeah, and it's working out well for you so far. A lot of people have you pegged as the favorite just because of your lineup alone. But you're already qualified to the World Championship, obviously. But what keeps you motivated? What keeps you playing and trying to qualify for these big events and trying to win again?
Now is the time that I can completely focus on Hearthstone. So I really just want to just try to make the best out of this, and especially perform well at the World Championship. And I don't know. I'm not about slacking off just because I can. So no, I'll just always try to do my best.
Well, it's definitely a great attitude to have, and congratulations on your victory, and good luck throughout the rest of the tournament. But let's send it back over to Dan and Kibler at the desk.
Thank you very much, TJ and Dr. BunnyHoppor. We have one more match for you guys coming up next. It's Bobby X versus Roger. But just to center back in, I think BunnyHoppor is looking very sharp. Not just carried by his decks, but his play also was pristine. I mean, granted, it was very much in his favor, but look, bring the right decks, play well, and get rewarded. And that's kind of what we want to see in Hearthstone.
And I loved what BunnyHoppor said there, that, yeah, he's qualified for Worlds. He could just sort of rest on his laurels, but he just wants to win. He wants to come in and not, slack off at all. And he's being rewarded for that.
Yeah, he told me. He doesn't have the dream to play Hearthstone for the rest of his life, but he wants to play it full-time right now before he eventually does things with his doctorate degree going into chemistry. And so with that, Bobby X versus Roger will set the stage for the final match of day number 1. Once again, the score, BunnyHoppor 3, LionKing 0. We'll be right back with more HCT action.